behind the mission, the master of the game. Douglas Vermeeren is the name you want to claim. From the opus to thoughts become things, teaching how success takes flight with wings. He's talked to top leaders and Fortune 500 crews. Now he's here to drop some wisdom just for you. Just for you.
How'd you like your AI song?
I think that was absolutely incredible. I was actually here dancing.
Nice. So I think the song got your last name wrong, and I didn't ask you in
That's
the pre
close
It is
enough.
Douglas Vermeeren, right?
Correct, 100%.
Like the painter.
You got it. Yeah, actually, that's my great, maybe not so great, but sometimes great grandfather on my dad's side.
Oh, then I have an interesting question I didn't prepare. What did you think of
Okay.
Teller's documentary?
Actually, what's funny is I had a chance to chat with them personally about it outside of one of their shows, and I thought it was kind of cool. It was pretty interesting, like that Tim's Vermeer is what you're saying. Now, here's something interesting. On my mother's side of my family, I'm actually a cousin to Elvis Presley. So what did I think of Baz Luhrmann's movie? There's another thing. And I'm a closer relative to Elvis than I am to Vermeer. So, yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool deal,
in the universe.
Yeah. So what happens when girl with the pearl earring makes out with a hound dog? They get something like me. I don't know.
I love that. I love that movie, and I actually knew who Tim was for decades before this because I was very much into computer animation on the Amiga video toaster, and it's just that he helped invent with Dana Carvey's brother. The world is small.
Yeah, it's totally small.
I love it. So hey, welcome to the show. I'm glad you can make it. We've tried to get you on the show a couple times, and you are one busy individual. So I really appreciate your time.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, and I apologize. I am tricky to get, especially lately. So
I'll take it. You're super fun. We had about 5-10 minutes before the show started, and you guys, if you're just tuning in now, you want to stick around for this one. I think it's going to go a little off the rails in a great way. But before we go there, Douglas, I got to ask you a question. Who are you? As a kid, were you like the nerd? Were you the jock? Who were you as a kid before, like in high school, junior high?
Right. You know what? I had a lot of friends, but I didn't really fit in the traditional way. To be quite frank, like I started in this movie business crazy world quite young. And so I was very irresponsible as a middle school student and high school student. So I skipped school a lot.
Same.
In fact, anytime there was a movie shooting in my city, I tried to skip school and show up and try and do background work or whatever I could do. So, yeah, I mean, I think I was pretty well liked, but I definitely was not an honor student, and I definitely wasn't like on all the football teams or anything like that. I kind of did my own thing or whatever, but yeah, I had fun.
Well, that knocks the shit out of my next question is when did you get first interested in acting and filmmaking?
Well, you know, the funny part of that though, here's the funny part. So my mom kind of heard about like doing this acting thing from a lady that she was working with, and her son was making money for like a career to get through college or whatever. And so my mom thought, here's a great way for my kid to make some money. And my brothers weren't interested, but I was. So I went and I started getting involved in this, and I really didn't know I was doing movies when I first started. In fact, the first show that I did was in Canada for CBC. They made me play a newspaper boy. So I got to set, brought my bike, I saw all these trucks and stuff, but free donuts. That's exactly what got my attention. So I ran to the catering table and started munching on these donuts and all the treats and things that they had. Then they asked me to ride my bike a bit. That's really why I was there. And then at the end of the day, they paid me $50 cash. And I was like, this is the best job. Like I get to eat donuts and I get paid $50. And that was that. And so I really didn't know I was doing movies very much until probably about a year or two into it. And then I just fell in love with the idea because, you know, I grew up in the generation of all the big blockbusters, Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, all these films. And it really, really was exciting to now feel part of that. And what's even been more exciting for me over the years is to make friends with people that were in those films. Like Richard Kiel from the James Bond movies, who was Jaws, the guy with the metal teeth. He was one of my best friends. Yeah. And he was one of my best friends, and he passed away. I was just actually hanging yesterday with Sean Kennan, who's probably one of my best friends now. You remember Sean from Karate Kid 3? Remember, your karate's a joke, LaRusso, right? So if Sean watches this, he'll make a comment. And, you know, so these guys are all my friends. In fact, yesterday afternoon, we were with Maddie Carterpole from Stranger Things. So it's kind of been interesting that my peer group has always been the guys that I watched in film, and now they're actually my friends. So it's just, that's who kind of I was as a kid, I guess.
every time I hear that, I want to dig in a little more on like what's it like
Right.
to not necessarily meet your hero, but you grew up watching these people, or maybe even interacting a little bit, but then now you're
Right.
friends. How do
Yeah.
you approach a friendship like that? Like very cautiously, you're just, I'm going to be me, and if you like me, cool. Like, how do you do it?
Well, I don't know. I just try to be me, but I have to admit, okay, so there's somebody that I was just texting with. In fact, I haven't texted her back yet. If you were to see this, I've got Vanessa Angel here, who we've been texting here for the
Oh,
last,
come
let's say,
on,
do
you're
this
killing
for
me.
the next couple minutes. And what's funny is like every other boy in the world, when she showed up in Spies Like Us, and then when she was in Kingpin, right? And now
Yeah.
it's like she's my sister. So it's still cool, but in a different way. Right. And so she played my wife in a movie that I did this summer in Vegas. But since then, we've just been buddies. And I think she's an incredible person. I have so much respect for her, but also admiration on how she's like navigated her career and stuff. And it's just neat to go from like somebody that you admire, and suddenly you're just buddies, and you've got things in common, and you've got things to discuss and talk about, and it's fun. It's really kind of neat. And I think the thing that people forget about, whether you're an entertainer or an athlete or a musician or whatever it is that you're doing, we're just real people, right? We
Yeah.
just have a fun time, and some of us get along really well and we're buddies, and others of us it's just like we work together and we're colleagues, and that's that. And so you just find these friendships as you go, right?
I've been discovering that, and I've only been interviewing people for about 3 years, maybe 2 years of people that
Right.
that other people would know of. And when you make that
Mm.
friendship, when you make that connection, it's just awesome. It's not about Hollywood. It's not about who can
Right.
scratch each other's backs. It's like, you're fun. I like talking to you.
Right.
And it's nice when it happens with somebody, and it has here when it happens with somebody like you really respected and you've seen for years, and you're like, teach me some of your things, and then all of a sudden you're like, you're just bullshitting. That's a great
Totally
benefit of the job.
And it's kind of neat too, because sometimes when you're working with people that you've admired, you pick up really interesting ideas or ways to approach things or whatever that you didn't really see or learn,
Yeah.
or just
100%.
something you see their work ethic and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. And suddenly it becomes sort of a little bit about how you approach things and how you look at things. And I don't know, I'm a firm believer, like no matter how old you are or how long you've been doing something, you can learn. And I think that kind of approach has kept the job fun for me. Right. It's kept it where it's been fresh and unique, where I don't know, I've worked with a couple people, I won't mention any names, but they've done it a long time. They just kind of dial it in now, and you can kind of feel that they're bored. And I just pray that I'll never have that. Right. Like I always want to make
100%.
sure that I'm bringing my A game, but at the same time, it's got to be fun for me to enjoy it. And I think what do they say? Wherever you go, there you are. So if you're not really bringing that to the table, most of the time it's you. Right.
I have had to live that moment where I realized it was me. I need to change something. I'm just doing the same thing. I'm not doing what I want to do. I'm not who I am. I got to change it up.
Right.
And that kind of leads me to an area, and my producers gave me the perfect lead in. I'm going to give them credit for this. Your hat says Stunt Nations.
Oh yeah, that's a friend of mine that runs that company. Yeah, I've done some stunts
too, right?
I've done lots of stunts. And in fact, this is a company that my friend Marty and Nathaniel have done. And so, yeah, I support their stuff. I think it's great. And they're First Nations. And I think that that's absolutely incredible that they have done that. And so they're not just teaching stunts, but they're promoting, other First Nation people to get involved in doing the stunt work that's there. And then they teach all kinds of traditional things from First Nations, everything from, horse stunts to a variety of other things, fighting and all that. And I'm very proud of what they've done, and I've known Nathaniel for years. In fact, it's funny, I met Nathaniel probably in, let's say 2003. He was working on a show called Dreamkeeper for ABC Hallmark, and I did the stunts and photo doubling for Scott Grimes on that show. And so we met there, and we shot in this little town called Drumheller, and we went and hung out at the Pizza Hut, and we became buddies. Or it was Boston Pizza, sorry, and we became buddies, and he's been a pal ever since. So that's definitely
awesome. And I like how his name's Nathaniel and not Nate or Nathan. Like, I don't know, those people.
Well, heck yeah, for sure, right?
You gotta have the whole thing. Gotta have the whole thing,
right? Exactly. Don't abbreviate what's not meant to be touched, right?
Yeah, my mother would hang up on people when they would call and ask for, is Nat there? No, like there's nobody here by that name. So my whole life, including my wife, now I don't have a choice. That's my name. It's stuck.
That's cool.
Permanently.
That's cool. By the way, I guess I got to show this off too, because I'm a Robert Rodriguez fan too. So it's fun.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
This is Zaz, producer
Right.
here. I would literally perform some kind of low-level crime for that shirt. That is an awesome shirt.
Right. I can't even remember where I got it, but seriously, Robert, I'm a big fan of all the work that he's done. And, you know, that whole
Yeah.
Rebel Without a Crew is one of my favorite books. Just
Yeah.
a total inspiration.
Yes.
And I'm also a very big fan of Quentin Tarantino, and those two collaborate, but in my opinion, not enough. They need to get
Right.
back together. And I'll tell you, I'll come out and do whatever they ask me to do if they want to.
What they did
together.
with those movies, trying to change the
Right.
culture of drive-in movie theaters, like it,
I
like
love
100%.
that. I love that. Yeah.
amazing.
It was a
that's
love.
The thing I love about those guys, and especially Quentin, I mean, I am just so in awe of how well he remembers and has a brain for movies that are so obscure that most people haven't seen. And I love movies. That's one of the biggest things that, like, yes, I watch everything. Every time a movie comes out, I'm loyal to the theatrical release still. I'm the guy, even if I'm there by myself. And I'm just so in awe of how Quentin has seen so many. And again, all of his recommendations, generally, I'm right on board with him. Just some incredible films. And I wish we had way, way, way more people like him that know movies. Because I really think if you're going to work in this business, a thing that always saddens me is if I show up on a movie set or I'm talking to someone who wants to put together a movie and they can't speak what I call the lingo, meaning, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Or, for example, there's a movie that I'm working on right now. I'm not allowed to say, but the director can come up to me and he says, okay, so this is a scene. You remember in the movie, the setup with Steve McQueen, Al McGraw, and I know what he's talking about. And to me, I have respect because those are movies that I've seen. Or if he's, you know, picking up something, you know, like I had a director a while ago, we were talking about Bicycle Thieves, which most people, if you haven't seen it, you got to go see it. Or M, the old black and white German movie. Like, these are movies, if you haven't seen some of these things, you got to go see them, right? If you work in movies, know your toolbox.
Before I started the show, and it's not why I did it, but I watched AFI Top 100. I had people over.
Oh, right.
A weekly thing. It took 3.5 years or whatever to watch every single movie, and some of them are hard to get. And I got a very big appreciation, not just for movies and what, like, I dreaded watching Citizen Kane. It's a beautiful,
I loved it.
Movie.
Yeah.
I get why people call it number. I don't necessarily think it was number one. It could be. I'm not saying it isn't.
Right.
But I was dreading it, and I was like, oh, I get it. Because I'd seen the movies before and what people were doing before Citizen Kane and how it changed everything. Like, there's stuff like that. Like, he moved the camera around like it wasn't 500 pounds.
It's like the Star Wars of his day. Like, seriously, people understand what it is. It changed movie making forever. In fact, one of my favorite experiences, when I was in college, I took a course called Film Appreciation. What's actually funny, to give the full context, I was on academic probation because my mom and dad put me in pre-med. That wasn't going to work. So I switched, and I didn't tell them. I switched to film, and the course that I took was Film Appreciation was the first one I took. And in that semester, I had to watch about 100 movies, and there was all kinds of really great stuff. Some that I'd never seen, tons of great Hitchcock stuff like North by Northwest, and obviously some classics from Spielberg, everything from Close Encounters to Jaws. And they really went into depth on how movies are made, and it was one of my favorite courses. And then they started getting into foreign films. And that's when I really got off the hook. I was like, I've never seen cinema like this, because, you know, the Italians or the Japanese or the French or the Germans, or like the list goes on, the Russians, like nobody has, like, we have an American way of making movies, which I honor and I love.
Yeah.
But when you start seeing all the other ways a camera can be used, and also, you know, the way that lighting can be done, and even the performances of the actors, or the story format, or the storytelling way, that it's not necessarily linear in the ways that all of a sudden, wow, you start seeing there's some real creative things we can do with this medium that we've never explored.
Indian cinema is that. It shows you that not everybody thinks that way, or that you could do this, it's okay, and it can make sense. I think Americans are fascinated with Indian cinema because it's different. Like, there's that, we want to make fun of it.
You get to dance.
There's always a dance, even in like the superhero movies. Like, I like that. Like, there's they do this. Fun. Like, we always have the what's the scream? What's the famous scream? It's in every movie ever. If somebody falls down, it's
Wilhelm.
The Wilhelm scream. Yeah, Wilhelm scream.
Wilhelm scream. They have
yeah.
You know?
Yes, they do.
We also right now have a question from the audience. I hear. Do you guys want to talk?
Let's see. Let's do.
Jack's daughter Cher here. Where in the world is Douglas Vermeeren?
Today, Los Angeles, actually, just outside of Burbank, actually, right now. We're doing something in Burbank here, and I'm just kind of off the set for a couple of hours to do this interview. So, yeah.
And you're not allowed to tell us. You're not.
I'm not allowed to tell you what I'm working on, but I'm telling you that I do wrap here later. I guess tomorrow I wrap, and then at about 4:30 I fly to Las Vegas. I've got a meeting tomorrow night, and then I start another movie tomorrow in Las Vegas Saturday morning. So yeah.
Can you tell us anything about your future projects? I was going to save this for the end of the show.
I can tell about a few.
Let's get into it.
I've got some really cool ones, and I've even got one that I just finished that I can talk about. Well, two that I just finished that I can talk about. So back to back, I shot these. I just finished Operation Broken Sky, which is kind of a cool military science fiction show where the military tracks a satellite that's going at an incredible velocity and speed, and suddenly it crashes. So they send our team to investigate the satellite, and when we get there, we find out it was a manned vehicle. And as we track it, we find out it was a alien, and it's got some crazy powers that we don't expect and see. And in that film, we've actually got, if you've seen the movie Skinamarink, Lucas Paul, the little boy in it, he actually plays the alien. And so it's kind of neat. It's not the Predator, a big muscular thing that we're fighting. It's actually this little boy, but he's got some powers, and I don't know, I don't want to give away too much, but our special forces team has a hard time dealing with him. I'll just put it that way. So we just finished that. Then I went and I did comedy horror that will be coming out before Christmas, I believe, and it's called Saturday Bite Fever instead of Saturday Night Fever. And I'm a vampire in it, and basically I'll leave that to be confirmed when you guys get to see it. I don't specifically disco dance. I don't know if anybody wants that anyways, but it takes place on New Year's Eve, and it's kind of a holiday driven vampire movie. Interestingly enough, I'm going back to do two more for that same director this year. One of them is again another horror thriller. I play an FBI agent within it, one of the lead FBI agents. But the one that everyone's waiting for, this is the same team that did the Mickey Mouse movies, where it's the Mousetrap, where Mickey Mouse, being now public domain, he's a slasher in it. And the second one we start shooting in July, and I'm gonna get killed by Mickey Mouse somehow. I don't know. I can't say that for sure. I'm in it. I might get killed. I want to get killed by Mickey Mouse, or maybe more Minnie would be better. But still, I think Walt Disney would love to see me dead. Maybe, I don't know.
I have a two-part question based on that. Of all the times you've been killed on film, what is your favorite death to watch on film? What is your least favorite death to have filmed?
Wow. Well, I'll tell you my very favorite time I got my butt kicked. That was from Cynthia Rothrock. She kicked me in the face in Black Creek at the end. It was awesome. And Cynthia's incredible. We're good friends, and I've been admiring her obviously from afar for years, but what a pleasure it was getting kicked in the face. 100%. And so in that one, and that's, by the way, that's just come out on Apple TV. I think you can pre-order it now, and it goes live later this month for everybody to order. So it is pre-orderable right now, and I think it's number 4 in Canada and number 6 in the United States as the top movies to watch, which is really cool.
See Douglas get his face kicked in.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And that movie was fun to do because it had a lot of really big martial arts legend in it. People like Richard Norton, who has now since passed away, and people like Don the Dragon Wilson and Keith Cook, and so many really incredible martial artists. In fact, I'm of course going to leave a ton of them out, but man, it was so fun working with all of you people. And I understand Black Creek is coming with a sequel, so I'll probably be coming back for that. And then this summer, I've also got one of my favorites. I'm just going to describe it as John Wick in the Wild Wild West. It's called Cowboy Bloodbath. And so I play the bounty hunter, the main character in that one. And so I'm going to get a chance to, I'll do all kinds of stunts and gunfights and all this kind of stuff. And so I've done a lot of cowboy movies in my time. I think probably the first big one that I did was Open Range with Kevin Costner, Robert Duvall, and Annette Bening. I did photo doubling and stunts for Ian Tracy in that. But yeah, the cowboy thing it's kind of like where I'm from, right? Like cowboys are a big thing. So this will be a good one to do. Oh, I got to share something really funny in this. So my dad, he always loved John Wayne. Whose dad doesn't, right? Like they sit there and they watch all the
I
old
was
movies
tortured by
stuff, right?
John Wayne my whole life, and
Yeah,
now I like
you
old
get it.
John Wayne movies. I get it.
Yeah. So for my dad a while ago, I had a chance to get a hold of one of the guns that John Wayne had used in a movie, like as a prop. And so I got it for my dad, and my
Oh,
dad
come
said, "Well,
on.
when am I going to get a chance to use this?" And so I'm going to bring him out on Cowboy Bloodbath, and I'm going to fight my dad in a gunfight. But of course, I get to win. Right?
Of course. I mean,
Yeah.
he gets
So-
to shoot John Wayne's gun on film.
Yeah. And I'm going to put a hole in my own dad. Isn't that great? Who doesn't do that? Has he got daddy issues? Oh. No, me and my dad are great, but it'll be funny. I just think that makes his dream come true. He can use John Wayne's gun in a movie and be in a gunfight at high noon, right?
You get
So
to tell
that'd
your
be kind
dad
of cool.
the set life and all the stuff and like everything.
Right.
Like that's amazing. Like
I think it'd be super
you're going
cool.
you for best son of 2025. right now. Just
Well, I don't know,
thinking of that,
but I
thinking of it
but
is
I
amazing.
win, right? I win,
You win.
so it'll be all right. So
Like, you know what I did for my dad? I got him this tie he's always been looking for. Like, oh yeah,
that's hilarious.
You know who John Wayne is? Yeah, but no, like the John Wayne thing. I think the older you get and crankier you get, the more you get John Wayne.
I think it's true. It's just like Clint Eastwood, "Get off my lawn," right? Like that's
Yes.
like we're all the same way, right? Like Gran
your
Torino
heart
becomes
goes
like
out.
the national anthem for everybody that's over 50, right? So I love it. I
yes,
get it. I get it.
100%. We didn't talk about your favorite time you've been killed on screen, though.
Oh yeah. My favorite time I've been killed. So I've had a few, and I think the fun thing is the messier, the more exciting. Like because there's things that lead up to it and all that kind of stuff. So I've had a number of ways I've been killed. Over the last 2 years, I think I've had the more bloody, gory one. So I've had my hand chopped off, then shot in the head. I was hung once by my neck. I went through the windshield of a car. I was decapitated in another film. But one of my favorite was getting bit in the neck by a vampire in a show. Yeah, who was she? It was a he, actually. He bit me in the neck. But probably the thing that made it interesting, there were two things that made it very unique. One, they actually hooked up through my back a pump and then ran it through my neck that you couldn't see it. And then as he bit, it went everywhere. And it was the messiest thing I've ever been involved in. But at the end of it, they didn't really think it through, and they didn't have a place to clean me up. So I went onto the front lawn of this place, and everybody just took the garden hose and kind of did it. And that was crazy.
That's a one-take thing too, right?
Totally a one-take thing. Yeah. So that one was really, really weird. And the neighbors gave us all kinds of dirty looks because they're all trying to, looky-loo and see what's going on with this movie. The other one that was kind of funny is I did this movie called Bikers versus Werewolves. And Michael Mahal just passed, so blessings to him and his family. But they were so cool to me on that set. But I do get shot. I come out to hunt these vampires, and one of them werewolves, and one of them grabs my neck, rips it off, and I spit up blood, and it gets messy and all this. But the funny thing about that one at the end is that night, again, not a lot of places to wash it off, but I was staying at a hotel in Las Vegas. And I got done wrapped around 2 a.m. And so I'm walking through the hotel back to the elevator to go up to my room. And here I am just like dripping with blood all over the place. And
but
people are looking at me and people are just kind of like, whatever. Let him go back to his room. He's got his own thing to do.
Or something, I'm sure.
Right.
To go gamble.
Right.
I love Vegas for that specifically. You walk.
100%.
There's a really buff, good-looking guy wearing a thong handing out flyers, and next to him is like
100%.
somebody's mom losing her shit and passing on
Right.
the ground, and nobody's walking. Just keep walking, like just go.
Yeah,
That's what I love about it.
I have to admit, speaking about moms and stuff, it's hilarious because whenever I show my mom pictures of these kind of like gory deaths I have, she's like, "Oh, Douglas." Just like it's nothing. It's just kind of like this kid's never gonna grow up. He's still the same kid who is like freaking in grade 2. He's doing the same stuff.
Who wants to grow up? Like I know I was just idolizing John Wayne a little bit, but growing up is when you forget to be creative, when you forget to have fun, when you don't know how to play.
Right.
I'm doing this because I don't want to grow up. I'm doing a talk show. What the fuck?
But you know what? If you're having fun, you're succeeding.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
Right?
That's it. That's what it is. Don't give. This is because I didn't want to grow up. 100%.
Right. And
I
by the way,
I see the fun in you. Like
100%, you gotta have fun
every minute.
In fact, here's something that's probably not on your questions, but it leads with what you're saying. People ask me, "How do you choose what movies you're going to do?"
You want to do? My questions. What you think I'm an amateur?
Yeah. Okay. So here you
how
go.
Do you choose your director.
Oh, that we'll get into that in a minute. But here's how I choose the movies. If it's not a movie I don't want to see, I won't do it. It's just
Beautiful.
that simple, right? And so because I love movies so much, if it's something that gets me excited and I'm happy to be there and I want to be and it's fun and all these kind of things, yep, count me in. And it's definitely I know my agent's gonna hate me saying this. It's not about the paycheck so much. It's really about like, am I going to enjoy my time there? Right? Is this a film that I can add to and bring something to? And is it something that I really want to be a part of? And when I come, I'm there 100%. I'll bring my A game. And, you know, even if it's a big part, small part, whatever, if it's a movie I really like, I'm going to give everything I have to it.
I love it. If there's a chance you'll show it to somebody and be proud of it, jump in.
Right. Well, I don't know if all the movies that I've done I'll be proud of. I won't lie about that. But honestly, I it is something I want to see. And sometimes I think it's just to see, like, if somebody comes to me and they're really passionate about an idea that they've got for a film and it makes sense and it's a cool idea, I definitely want to be part of it. I want to support that vision. What do they say? That good ideas and so forth attract other people, right? So,
Good ideas get
you know,
good people.
if you've got a dream out there or something, you want to do a movie and stuff, go for it, right? Because people will support that.
It's amazing, and we've done a lot of shows with people who make that happen. Just whatever it takes,
Right.
they do it. And I kind of want to get into that with you. You've done a lot for a long time. You had a series of motivational speaker videos. You speak
Right.
to successful people about motivation. I'll let you talk to that as much as you want. But the question
Sure.
I had around that is, you're a motivational speaker. How do you motivate yourself to do a motivational movie?
Well, you know, the reality is I think we all have to be our own motivational speaker if we're going to find success,
Yeah.
right? We've got to be able to find the things that really get us excited. I guess a great way to answer this is I had lunch once with Edward James Olmos, who you guys all know is Commander Adama
Love
from
Edward
Battlestar
James
Galactica. Just an incredible
And
actor.
beyond.
Yeah, and beyond, and also a very awesome, inspiring person for all the things he's done in his life. So, anyways, as I was sitting with him at lunch, I asked him point blank. I said, "What is success to you? Like, what is success?" And he goes, "Well, some people say success is doing things that are difficult." He says, "There's a lot of things that are difficult in this world that will never ever help you, and it doesn't really matter if you do them or not." He said, "The first step most people miss." He says, "You got to find something you love, and then do it, even when it's difficult." And I think that that's a stronger way to look at things, because the truth of the matter is there's a lot of stuff in life that people just don't do because they think, you know, I love it, but it's going to be hard or harder than I expect. Well, everything that you do in life has some element of hard. So you might as well do hard stuff that you love, right? You might as well pursue what you really are passionate about first. And so I think for me, that's kind of what I've done. And I don't really do as much motivational speaking anymore. I did a lot before the pandemic, and then the pandemic came. And I think for most people, we kind of reset our priorities in our lives where we wanted to be, and the world changed and so forth. And I still have produced several personal development films, and I'm still friends with a ton of people in the personal development world that are just incredible speakers and coaches. But most of the time when I'm speaking now, I do a lot of speaking on cruise ships. I speak a lot about movies and stunt work and, you know, the power of your thoughts and believing in positive things for yourself. And I think that's great. But if I'm also being fair, I think I've found that there's people who are more qualified and better to talk about that stuff than me. And this is really where my passion is. And it's where I have always belonged. Like, even as a motivational speaker, I've always produced the movies and I've always been involved in movies. I did my own first movie I produced in 2007, came out in 2008. So even along the way doing the personal development speaking, I've never really left the movie business. And
kept
so
what you loved and you added to it something else you love.
And if I'm being fair, and I'm not trying to, like, I want to be delicate how I say this. These were my choices, but I was married. It didn't work out. And during that relationship, kind of put me on the back burner a little bit and started just doing those documentaries rather than what I was doing before. And the ironic thing about this is that woman, I love her to death still. She's a sweetheart and I wish her well and so forth. But we met at a movie audition. So she knew who I was when we met.
Right. Yeah.
And so it just, and funny enough, she's married again. And so I'm happy for her. That's great. She's found her path. I have no hard feelings. Everybody finds their journey, the way things unfold. But I discovered by being where I wasn't supposed to be, who I wasn't supposed to be. And now I know who I am and I'm extremely happy about it. But thank goodness that we find this along the way. right? That's life is a journey of
Everything's about
discovering
learning.
those things. 100%.
You have no idea what the path is unless you look left and right every once in a while.
Well, I think
And
that's true.
I was going to say, go back to you're friends with your ex. I'm friends with I've never been divorced, but I'm friends with all my exes still. I had this thought that if you like them enough to dedicate your life to them and to fall in love with them, you can like them afterwards. I mean, even love, that never really goes away. I like that. And I try to tell people that, like, maybe you won't be friends the next day. You'll probably go through a phase of hate. But like, you love that person for a reason. Remember that reason. It's okay.
Right. And I don't think I ever went through the hate part of things, but I think discovering kind of like every relationship you think about it is not static, right? Like it's not unchanging. And so what we had at one point becomes and evolves into something that's probably what it needed to be in the first place. And so I think sometimes, what is it? A friend of mine once said that life is like climbing a ladder. If we have our hands stuck on the rung so tightly, we can't actually let go and get to the next one where we're supposed to be. And so I think that's just it with life. We've got to be willing to say, hey, it's fluid, and let's see what happens next. And we bless everyone we can along the way and keep going, right? That's life.
Yeah, I love it. I really do. I didn't expect to get into relationship stuff, but I'm glad we did. I like the real people stuff.
Called the real story, isn't it? It's called The Real Story. So it
was the relationship Smith until a couple episodes ago, and we got a lot of questions like, "What do you want to talk about my relationship?" I'm like, I don't. I want to talk about all relationships, like with your work, with your friends, with all those things. And then we'll go with the real story because we get to keep TRS. Yeah, so
I love it. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
But we want to get right into it. Something else. This is the clunkiest segue you're ever going to hear. You said when you believe in something, you did a paranormal series. You started one, and I wanted to touch in on that. There's an episode out. You said you're filming more. I'd love to hear more about that episode and upcoming episodes. Because it's an area I think a lot of people, and myself included, really care about.
Well, I think it's also very fascinating and it's interesting. So about, I guess a year ago, we shot the first episode of the Unexplained Paranormal Files. The first episode that we did more as a pilot just to see what the interest would be in that. Right. And the subject matter that we tackled in that one was Area 50, or no, it was Roswell, New Mexico. The incident that happened at Roswell where the UFO supposedly crashed. And it was interesting because we didn't know how it would be received, and there's a lot of conspiracy debates on both sides whether it was a real event or if it was a balloon or whatever it could have been, like a weather balloon
or misinformation from the beginning,
or whatever it could be. So it was kind of fun to do, and no kidding, we had a distribution agreement with a company for streaming it, and they actually had in several movie theaters across the United States and Canada. They actually aired the trailer for it, which was awesome. And you can still find it on YouTube, in fact, even. And right away, we got a lot of traction on that, but the streaming service kind of ran out of money. So the series did not continue. And we continued to shop it around because we thought that it would be really, something people are interested in. And as we predicted, people are interested. So we've got a few more of them coming up. I think there's going to be 13 in total that are shot this year.
Congratulations.
Yeah. 13 in total. I'm the, let's call it host, if you will. I think on IMDb it calls me the Master of the Vault or something like this. I'm not sure. Sounds kind of creepier as the Master of the Vault rather than just the narrator. We'll be exploring
the same.
Yeah, they do. They do. There's no real difference there. I guess. I don't know. Maybe that was why they did it. We don't have any more money to give you, but here's a really cool title. You're going to love it.
You're going to love this title.
That could have been.
I've had that job.
Have you had that job?
I've had that job.
That's funny.
New title.
That's funny. Yeah, it's a good title. But so this year I know that we're tackling things like there's some telekinesis episodes. There's one on the Sasquatch that we're talking about. I know the Loch Ness Monster is in there. I think they're talking a little bit about another one on UFOs. There was another incident, I think the Battle over LA is what it's called. They're talking about that one from World War II. Yeah. At the beginning of World War II. I'm just trying to remember what else I briefly got a chance to look at some of them as just literally a paragraph that describes it. There's another paranormal element of someone who had committed a variety of murders that they were supposedly talking to the devil, and the devil had told them what to do. And weird. I think Jack the Ripper might be one of them as well. I have to remember, but there's 13 coming out anyways, but they're fascinating. And I have to admit, it's weird when you're like participating in that stuff, because it does give you a weird kind of like, oh, I better, my lights flickered and what's going on. And
Do you go out on site for these too? Were you in Roswell?
We didn't go to Roswell specifically on that one, but some of them I have gone on site. Like there's one I kind of alluded to, but Area 51. So when I was in Las Vegas, there was some stuff that was shot there near Area 51. Obviously, as close as you can sort of get to it without creating troubles for everybody.
It seems like it's easy to get
but it's strange. Yeah, I guess. Hey, everything weird happens in Vegas. No, I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But yeah, so I'd like it if they'd let me go to each of those locations. Oh, there's one that's a haunted house too, or a haunted mental institution is what it is. And I was just chatting with
Virginia by any chance, or Philadelphia?
I can't remember where it was. I can't remember what. Hang on 2 seconds. Jared, where did Doug say that mental institution was? Do you remember? Where? Michigan. It was Michigan.
Oh,
yeah, he's just telling me it's Michigan.
Filmed there recently. I thought that somebody talked.
Maybe. Could be, but we're talking about going there to explore that too and sort of see what's going on there. So that'll be maybe this is my last interview. Please help me. Right?
Every October, we have a ghost hunter on our show.
All right, that's cool. That's cool.
He's 100% believes what he's talking about. He's more of a skeptic about a lot of things than I anticipated. It's really great to talk to people who he's serious and dedicated.
Right.
And I would love to believe, I just haven't seen enough. He showed us some cool things.
That's neat.
What are your feelings on, let's just stick with one, because I don't want to color the whole series here. What about Bigfoot? You're Canadian. Bigfoot's probably Canadian.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've also got a script that I was given a while back called Sasquatch, and it was interesting. I don't know that if it exists, it's like what we think it is. I think, quite frankly, it's probably not necessarily the big kind of primate that we all expect, kind of lurking around, lomping around like Harry and the Hendersons kind of thing. I have a feeling that if it does exist, it would be something that's probably a lot more. What do we say? Let's make this real creepy, maybe. It's something that probably is much better at hiding than we ever imagined. Whereas a bear, you can kind of hear him coming, see him coming. Lots of people see him, right? I would think that this, if it did exist, it would be something that would be probably a lot faster than what we see, like maybe in the speed of almost like what you see some kind of a mountain lion type thing, where it can get up trees and get around and get gone.
That makes sense.
But again, who's to say, right? Like, I don't know.
I know. I'm fascinated by the subject. My favorite, and I would love to believe in Bigfoot again. I need proof. I wish he was real with my heart. Those of you who believe, I'm on your side spiritually. Right. I really am. But my favorite theory, and this is the most outlandish, is that Bigfoot is actually an alien, and that's why he could disappear so quickly. And sometimes people smell a very non-animal bad smell, and there's a flash of light often associated with Bigfoot too. Like he's getting beamed away or something. The one theory that I read is he's an alien. I wrote a whole short synopsis on how Bigfoot is here to warn us about the gray aliens and Loch Ness Monster who are taking her. Like I just said this where they all got together and it was a big informal battle that they're having and trying to warn us. It's kind
of like it's like Justice League, where they brought all the best of the best aliens, and they're here to get planet Earth ready. And I guess that would be a good movie.
Cross circles are warnings from another alien race who can't travel faster than light, telling us not to trust Bigfoot. Like it's all
right. You never know. Hey, that sounds great. And that could maybe be it. The other thought that was interesting is, you remember what is it in the Blue Smoky Mountains down south, like the Appalachian Mountains? They have these feral people that hide out there and are totally off the grid and all that. Maybe Bigfoot is just a family like that just sort of one day went out there and started populating the countrysides, and they were pretty big people. And next thing you know,
bearded guy without his corncob pipe. Probably looks
you never know. You never know. But anyways, I don't think we're promoting the camping experience.
I can't wait. I'm going to check out the YouTube. I believe I checked it out. I camp every other weekend, and I hope I see Bigfoot. I hear coyotes. I love them. What else could Bigfoot do? You know?
Right.
Yeah, go camping. People, get outside. Turn this off if you have to right now and go camping. That's more important. But if not, stick around and tell your friends.
And a disclaimer, if you happen to get hurt by a Bigfoot, We have nothing to do with that. That's somebody
Yeah,
else's
Bigfoot's
thing.
fault. I don't even know who you are. Why are you?
Right.
Your first movie. Let's go back to the script here. Your
Sure.
first movie, The Lurker, where a killer targets influencer couples. That's not your first movie, though, right? You've been
No, not at all. In fact, you know what's funny? That's an IMDb mistake. Just so you know, the director of that, who I am in it, but the director, yeah, we talked about this before the show. It is a film I'm in. I play Officer Van Ravensway. But the movie, the director, when he put it on IMDb, for some reason, it did not catalog the date correctly. So that comes up as my very first movie that I ever did. But that movie actually came out, I want to say it was in 2022, maybe.
Wow, that doesn't
fit. So it doesn't fit the chronology. For sure.
They're targeting influencer couples. I'm like, how could it be that before these? Like,
right.
wasn't a word.
That's a new thing. Yeah. Tell you the truth, the first show that I did was for CBC. It was an after-school special called Mildred McFall. I have gone looking for it everywhere. I've searched wherever I can find, and they must have changed the title, but I can't find it. I have no idea where it is.
Josh, Zaz, say that again. I'm going to have them do the research if we can get.
No, I was literally going to ask them to repeat it. Yeah,
sure. It was done for CBC, as far as I understand, in Canada, and it was called Mildred McFall, and I played a newspaper boy in it. And they told me it was for an after-school special, and I've searched for it everywhere I know how. I've never found anything.
Have you ever? Do you know of anybody else, any name that might have been in it?
I was like 7, so I know you were.
I know you were.
I can't remember.
Those
are the only things. Oh gosh, what year would that have been? That's probably early 80s. I do know the road apparently that it was shot in, because my grandpa kept telling me, "Oh, remember that time I took you down to Roxborough Road and we shot that movie and blah blah blah." So it was shot somewhere in Calgary, Alberta, on a road called Roxborough Road.
If we can find it, we will get it.
Please tell me. I might not want to see it, but I at least want to know what it looks like. Anyways, I don't know.
If Zaz loves going down rabbit holes, I do too. I think he would find it
be cool.
But
so
I did. When your name started growing, obviously after 7,
right,
when you started really becoming serious actor. What did other than you want to be in a movie? You would only make a movie but when you started thinking about your ideal roles, I want to play a good guy, I want to play a bad guy,
right,
I want to do this. What are your ideal roles right now? What would you love to be doing character-wise, not necessarily movie-wise, but what's something you haven't played or would love to play again, but in a different way?
Well, it's interesting seeing on the comments here. Jack Crawford has asked me if you could be in any film, what would it be? And he says 007 with a question mark, or the reality is I would love to do 007, but I'm not British, so they probably won't ask me. But I do speak several languages.
GQ London, right?
Yeah. So I speak several languages. I also lived in Europe for a number of years, and I lived in Asia for a year, and then I visited regularly. Yes, I do have military type experience and gun experience and stunt experience, and also such things as motorbikes and all that kind of stuff. So we could do that kind of stuff. Now, I did have a chance to visit some people down at Pinewood Studios, and on my Instagram, you'll see there's a video there of me in the James Bond writing room. So they did ask me what would I do if I was in charge of the James Bond series. Now, this wasn't Barbara Broccoli. These were some other people involved in the series. So, this is not an official thing. But I shared with them, I personally felt that Tom Cruise was kicking their butt because James Bond used to be leading the whole industry with stunts. They had so many Guinness Book of World Records stunts that they had done.
Well, it's all Bond is a great character. In the 80s.
That's all we talked about. And Tom is kicking their butt. So I said, I was really a little bit surprised to see that when you brought Daniel Craig in and introduced him as Bond, you brought him down the river with a life jacket on. He showed up the press release, and that was that. I was like, the way I would do that, what I would do is I'd say you get all the media there, and they're waiting for Bond. He's late. And you have a helicopter swinging through the city with someone on a grappling underneath it, like a rope underneath it. And then all of a sudden he comes in and literally drops off of that, hits at the press conference and simply fixes his sleeves and goes, "Oh, I'm late. Sorry. Who has the first question?" And then just sits down. And that's how he should arrive at a press release. Or if you
Well,
want, play the
that out.
007 music. Yeah, have the 007 music going, and all of a sudden you have this motorbike come ripping around the corner with a van shooting at it, and part of him is on fire, skids the bike out, drops the bike, shoots once, and then the van leaves, and then dusts himself off and goes, I'm sorry, I'm here. And then sits down again. And that's like those kind of things, because Tom Cruise is doing that to get publicity when he takes the motorbike off of cliffs or does the biplane stunts. But he shows us all behind the scenes, and he takes everyone on that journey. And I think that that's the way James Bond should be doing things. And those stunts need to come back, and it needs to be bigger and bigger. Now, what's interesting about that is I did speak with a friend of mine, named Richard Dreyfuss, who you probably know.
Where do I know that name, guys? Can
you might have heard
that
it
up for me, please.
And a friend of his that also knows him quite well, and the two of them were together, and we were at an event. And he said, "Well, if you want to do a movie like that, I'll come and I'll play your M, but you won't ever get cast because you're not British, you're Canadian." And
Was the original James Bond American now?
No, the original, the very first television appearance. Yeah, was an American. And then they actually wanted to cast Cary Grant first. And then, of course, Sean did him. And then when George Lazenby did it, George was Australian, of course. So there's been several like non-English citizens that have done James Bond. Well, two anyways. So maybe not. But I think Amazon's looking at going a different way. They want probably to reboot this thing as a younger guy. But I mean, I'd be honored if they'd ever select me. I think it's great, but I personally think that the way Bond needs, like, I've read all the books. I'm a Bond fan. I've watched all the movies. Richard Kiel is one of my best friends. Who's Jaws.
Jaws,
yeah, he was an incredible man. But what I found is that
I'm sad about the next Happy Gilmore because obviously he can't be in it. But for me, he was a huge part of Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, 100%. But the thing that I felt with Bond is that Sean Connery did a fantastic job. You could believe he was both an assassin, but also someone that women would be interested in. And he was tough and he was dangerous. And I think Roger kind of lost that a little bit, and they went a little bit more campy. But I still loved Roger for what he did.
Roger was my James Bond.
Right. And although I've met Pierce and I love Pierce Brosnan, I felt that Pierce was just too dang good looking. And when he walked into a place and stuff, that heads didn't turn more to see him. Like a spy should be somebody that kind of, So let's be honest that James Bond is not really a real spy. He's a comic book spy. And I think Daniel Craig, he was amazing. Like, I love Daniel, but I think they made him too gritty, that he lost the Bond suaveness to what we saw in Sean's day or Roger or even with Pierce. And of course, I love Timothy Dalton as well. I think Timothy was probably the closest to the book, to be quite frank.
I agree.
Even more so than Daniel Craig. I think he was closer to the book. But I'm a really big fan of them all. I think they've done an incredible job. And certainly, I mean, they're incredible actors. And like I said, I met Pierce not too long ago at the premiere of Fast Charlie, and I'm a big fan. But I don't know if I like his James Bond stuff as much as I like his other stuff, because he's an incredible actor, but I felt like Bond, he did not get the opportunity to play how he could have with Bond. I think that was really a missed opportunity. He's a great actor, and they had him do a very, how should we say, shallow interpretation of James Bond. I think he could have really hit a home run. And Die Another Day was just terrible. But that wasn't his fault, right? Like, it just wasn't a great.
My thought for the Bond franchise would be that they should do a series, like television type series, but in the vein of Young Indiana Jones, where you take different eras of his life and you could have different actors and play with it. And if one of them takes off, or people assign to it, but I love your ethos. It's got to be somebody who you believe can actually do that stunt. It's got to be somebody you believe can throw that punch. It's got to be somebody you believe will walk into a room and at least half the women will go, "Who's that guy?" It has to be all those things, but still, intelligent and able to. I would love to see just them try it in different things. I loved what they did during Indiana Jones, and the way it opens up a universe or universes without locking anything in either. Like, it tells a fun story, and that's what we want.
Well, the thing that I think made Sean Connery such a strong Bond is he was a chameleon. So when he needed to be dangerous, you could believe the danger. When he needed to be the ladies' man, he didn't just catch the attention of all women walking in. He had to actually make it work. He had to make the flirtations happen. And if you look very closely at those old movies, like, not every girl technically threw himself at him, but if he left the door open or said something, they would follow him. And I think that was kind of a really interesting way to play Bond. So I hope that they really kind of bring that back. And I really do think that original character that Ian Fleming created was incredible. And I really hope that they tap into that rather than trying to modernize him in a way that gets lost, because you've got a really iconic hero here, but sort of an anti-hero at the same time. And it was really the cutting edge first person that ever did that. And like I said, along the way, all the stunts. I also was disappointed that they started cutting out the gadgets, because that made a fun journey for us. And even with Q, especially the Desmond Llewellyn Q, that there needed to be that sort of schoolmaster and cheeky brat kind of relationship. That was 100%. Fun. We enjoyed that. Right. And so
played that up. Get Smart was built on that one dynamic that James Bond had. Like,
right.
I'm the responsible adult and you're the guy I got to rein in.
Right. And I just kind of felt like when Jason Bourne came along, Bond started becoming a follower, because they wanted to be that gritty Bourne identity kind of, or that gritty, or even maybe a better thing is to follow Tom Cruise down that path, or like they wanted to kind of be something rather than stay the leader. They were the leader for such a long time. And I think that they gave that up, which they shouldn't have. But anyways, I'll probably get hate mail from Jeff Bezos. So send me now, because he's in charge, I guess, or whoever they've got next. But honestly, the Broccoli family legacy is so amazing. I certainly hope they don't tarnish it, because I'm a fan. And I know that those people worked so hard to build that empire. And so I just really hope that they will do everything in their power, whatever the new agreement allows them to do, to defend that, because they've got something magical there and they need to bring it back.
I agree. I don't think Bond's going to go anywhere. I honestly believe with the people who are passionate about it, they all have to listen. They all want to listen. They all want to at least make the money, make fans happy. There's very few places they could go wrong, but there's very places they could destroy it. I think there's always.
Well, I think No Time to Die was tough, and I don't want to turn this into like a rant on Bond, but the reality is they kind of messed the story up, I think, and they forgot who Bond was. And at the same token, they really had a special opportunity there, even if they're saying it was a loose remake of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, where Bond's wife Tracy died. They probably should have killed his new family too, and given him all the power in the world now to be dangerous. There's no turning back from that. They could have made him seriously not just a license to kill, but now a killer.
Yeah, the most dangerous thing is someone with no hope. I've
got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He could have been. Anyways, we're getting way sidetracked.
Anyways, hey, can I? This is Zaz. Real quick question.
Right.
Your movie that you were discussing earlier, Mildred. Was that shot in 1989?
No, I think it was before that.
Okay,
so was it that?
Okay.
It might have come out in 1989, or maybe it never came out at all. I don't know, but it must have been before that.
Was the director Peter Rowe?
I have no clue.
No,
Julie Bond in it? Okay.
Who? Yeah. No, I don't remember any of the cast.
Oh, okay. Because, I don't know if you can see a screen, but...
I can see a screen, and I can see a guy on a bike in the corner.
Yeah.
He used to be a paper boy. We were scrubbing trying to find it.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, here's the deal. Your memory plays tricks on you. And if I say that guy looks familiar, you're going to say, and I might have seen him somewhere else, but wow, send me the info on that movie. I'd love to watch it.
This is Mildred McFall, but they also changed the name to Personal Exemption in the U.S. So, it goes by several different titles.
Maybe that is me on a bike.
Yeah,
I think they actually have it as the McFalls or just
the McFalls. Yes, the McFalls.
Okay, I gotta write this down. The McFalls. Okay, where did you find that? Because you're a genius, dude.
So it
might be that.
We can send you the link. We actually found the full movie on YouTube.
Yep.
You know what? Put it in the chat too, so everybody can have it.
Yeah. That is hilarious. If that is the one, I'm not saying it is, but I'm curious then, because you had a guy on a bike in the background. The only thing is he looks a little bit bigger than I would have been.
Well,
at
he looked like
age.
17, so not 7.
Yeah. Okay.
Different scene. Could be a totally different scene.
Okay.
How many directors only film one kid on a bike?
Yeah, we should give it a shot.
Sorry.
Does it say where it was shot?
I saw the word Calgary in there at one point. Doesn't mean it was shot in Calgary, but
interesting, because Calgary is my hometown.
Yeah.
So the ones I did as a kid were all in Calgary.
Yeah. So it's literally when you fire up the movie, it goes to the credits and Calgary is under there. So yeah,
Do you
Cool.
remember?
Well, that'd be hilarious if it was.
At this
one.
point, even if you said like at the last second you don't think this was the movie, I'm gonna just say no, it totally is, and we're just
We're
just,
promoting this whole
It is.
interview as we find a rare movie for Douglas Vermeeren.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You might have just made my night too, because I think my whole family, even after that, was like, when does this movie come out? And I'm like, I don't know. They don't tell me these things. I just had donuts there. So this is might be at the next family reunion. We're gonna watch it, and then they're gonna all together go,
that was a great challenge.
Built
I
his
appreciate
life
it.
and a career on this.
right.
We're gonna watch this whole thing. Yeah, so it's
That is
We're
so
gonna watch it when
funny.
this is over. I guarantee you, we're gonna watch.
100%.
No,
that's
We're
not
gonna
a.
go back to work,
yeah.
and we're gonna sit here and watch this. This is.
I was only there for one day too, so it's not going to be like it was a big deal on that first movie. But anyways, I'm going to watch it too. Maybe we'll get popcorn and do it together.
We only have a couple minutes left, and unless there's some audience questions, I kind of want to end it with Zaz's question he put in my notes here, and I'm giving him credit because it's a great question. I think Zaz wrote it.
Which
if it
one?
was you, Josh, let me know. Speaking of metaverses, is the
yes.
Mickey Slasher movie tied to the Peter Pan Winnie the Pooh universe? Is there going to be a universe?
I really don't know. Wow, I'm going to have to ask those guys that, but that would be hilarious if there was, right? Then all of a sudden, you'll see me leave the door. I'll shut the door and I'll escape Mickey Mouse. All of a sudden, I'll turn and there's Mickey or Winnie the Pooh, and I'll run the other way, and then suddenly Popeye the Slayer Man will hop up, right? And that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Why doesn't somebody do that?
That's
That'd be
something
great.
we're thinking.
If they get the idea from you, please tell them that it's the Zazerverse.
No.
Right. And then what will happen, because you just told me this before the show, what will happen is at the end is I'll pause and I'll quickly like put on a wig and I'll go, I am Nancy Drew. Right? like a sleepaway camp, but in the reverse, right?
My head would literally explode if you made that happen. You have no idea.
That would be insane. That would be insane. Okay, I'm putting in the suggestion box at work.
When can we go to Vegas and film with you so we can put this in their heads? We'll show up and harass them.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. For sure we would. Let's go. Yeah, that'd be totally awesome. That would be totally awesome.
Douglas, we got to get out of here. We're going to keep going all night. The energy just got up, and that sucks that we're getting out of now. I mean, yeah, but it's been amazing talking to you. Just
happy to come back anytime. We had fun. I probably hijacked that with so much of the Bond stuff, but anyways, we'll see what happens.
About what we want to talk about. We could talk.
Right.
Really, if you want to go on for half an hour about something hopefully not political, we would let you. It's your time. You're giving it to us, and we're going to get your message out there.
I don't really have much of a political message because no matter who you vote for, the government gets in. My only thought is I just wish that they'd get out of our way and let us be friends with everyone that we want to be friends with. And that's
all I want. I want.
We're adults. We can take care of ourselves. We can take care of ourselves. We don't need so much other crap in our life. Yeah, that's right.
Do we have any questions from the audience we need to get through, guys?
Oh, I see there's one.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, read it. Share it.
Leslie, Diana, hey, awesome. Welcome to the show again. You can tell Douglas is passionate about acting, but his experience as a motivational speaker makes him such a great guest with wise words to share about living your best life and loving what you do. Leslie is amazing. She watches every one of her shows.
Love her to death.
Yeah, I thank you, Leslie. Great having you here. And
I was going to say, I see Jack Crawford did have a question. You see it right there. Yeah, your advice for an aspiring actor or screenwriter. I think the best advice that I was given is watch every movie you can, even the bad ones, and literally make notes for every performance as an actor that you see and every film that you see. And so no kidding, when I am playing, say, for example, I've got a big FBI guy that I'm doing, and I find that by observing some of the other people who played FBI's agents, I know kind of what the typecast kind of feel of it is, and I can now see how I can make mine different without being a repetitive aspect of what someone else has done. Or I can also see something that someone's done incredibly well and say, what can I learn from that I can bring to my own performance? Maybe this sounds silly to say this, but they say that if you steal from one, it's called plagiarism. If you steal from many, it's called research. But 100%. The thing I like about that idea is that the reality is as an actor, if I'm not filling my toolbox, I have no tools. And so I want to be able, and that's the same as a screenwriter, I want to be able to understand and see and know what's gone before me. And by the way, one of my friends also gave me a really good piece of advice. This was Sean Cannon actually the other day from Karate Kid 3. You probably remember him as Mike Barnes. He was saying that all actors should become writers too. And I think that's a really wise thing. And they should be, because I don't really even personally, I'm not saying I don't like the term actor, and I don't not like the term screenwriter, or I don't like the term filmmaker. I like all those terms, but I think the best way to describe us is that we're storytellers.
Artist,
right? We're part of telling a story. We're a storyteller. And so you need to understand as an actor that you need to always be observing human behavior. You need to always be observing storytelling. You need to always be a storyteller. And you need to recognize whether you're coming in to do an audition or to perform in front of a camera, or even today, as we're on this interview where we're sharing information. If you can't make it engaging by being a storyteller, you're going to have a really hard time, like, having people want to hear what you've got to say or participate in the stories that you're going to share. They may not like the stories that you have to share, but if you know how to gain their attention, you'll be able to guide those emotions to at least empathize with the way that the story is being told. I hope that makes 100%. Sense. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't.
It does. Yeah. No, and I love it, because the reason I say all actors are writers is because you're writing in the moment. It's almost, it's not improv because you're doing it a billion times sometimes.
Right.
You know more about that character than the writer wrote, even if it's
sometimes
you're adding so much to it in your own head. The fifth time you take it, like, well, maybe you could change. But I think that the actors are telling a story. They are creating as much as a writer puts it on paper. They're putting
that's happened for me on the set more often than you think, where I'll be in a scene and then I just honestly instinctually feel like this needs to be said, or something from the character's point of view. And sometimes I'll say it and suddenly the director is excited. That's the best line that we've got for that character, or it's said and it turns into a very funny moment where it needs to be there to break the tension, or whatever it could be, or even in a violent moment. It was kind of interesting that there was a show that I did a while ago where my character, again, is quite a violent person. And he says something very subtly that I just kind of threw in on the spot, and it made it like a million times creepier. And you normally can't find that stuff in the page until you're there on the day shooting it. Yeah. Sometimes there's moments like that. And, I mean, I really wish that there was a way to look at movies in general and just say what lines were improvised, which were not, and that we were allowed that behind the scenes. Wouldn't that be amazing to see that? And I would be willing to bet with some of the greatest actors out there that a lot of it is more improvised than we would imagine, right? There'd be things that happen that were just, I don't call them happy accidents. I call it that person knew that character so well that he could open that part to give us a glimpse of something that, wasn't necessarily there yet until that character showed up.
Like Ryan Reynolds, that has a distinct voice and delivery. How much of that is him versus somebody writing before even, they're not writing for Ryan Reynolds. They're writing a script, and Ryan himself, his character, his style.
Well, I know when I'm writing, I take pictures of the actors I would ideally love to have played at, but I would imagine probably the greatest improv person that we have lost is Robin Williams. And I'm not just talking about for comedy either. Like even on Dead Poet Society, and where he was playing more serious roles. One of my friends, actually, he was involved in, I believe he was the producer. He might have directed too, but on What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams and Cuba Gooding Jr.
One of my favorite movies.
Incredible movie. They won an Academy Award for visual effects. And Barnett, in fact, I was actually texting with him earlier today, but he was talking about how there was just magic with Robin, like just the magic you couldn't describe. Like the script was there, but suddenly when he brought it, there were things that no one saw that all of a sudden they're here. And I don't know, here's one question no one's asked, but if there was a couple of actors that I would have loved to work with and have never had the chance, Robin would have probably been certainly among the top of the list. Another I would have loved to work with is Marlon Brando. But another one that I would have liked to work with, you guys probably will think this is way out of left field, but actually to work with my cousin Elvis Presley. I would have loved to be in a movie with him. I think it would have been fun. But the movie I would have picked to be in with him was one that he wanted to do, because near the end of his life, he didn't really want to do those movies. But when he was given the opportunity to act and really pursue something his heart was in, I don't know if you knew this, but when he showed up on the set of Love Me Tender, his first movie, he actually had the whole script, including everyone else's lines, memorized. He had a work ethic that was second to none. And when he did things like Jailhouse Rock and King Creole, especially, King Creole was actually originally written for James Dean before he died. And then when he died, they rewrote several scenes and put songs in it, and it became an Elvis Presley movie. So he was being given in the beginning really great material, and he had dreamed of himself being even on the level like a Marlon Brando. He studied the actors. He wanted to go to acting school. He wanted to really pursue things, much like Marilyn Monroe. She wanted to be taken seriously. And I think Elvis was always disappointed that he did not get that same opportunity. In my opinion, looking at his early movies, he could have been great. He could have been amazing.
I mean, we've all seen the schlock. We've seen the bad stuff.
Right.
And I think it is. He was. I'll do what I'll do it. I don't think. Well, the earlier stuff. I'd never really thought about it, but there is a distinct. It's like the Elvis periods of it, how he looked, and all that stuff. There's a distinct. You're right. I never really thought of that way, and the music even in some ways too.
Well, the interesting thing is that early movies did have some great hits in them, and then obviously things like Blue Hawaii had several hits, and they just tried to reduplicate Blue Hawaii every chance they got. And none of his movies ever lost money, well, except for Charo had a little bit of struggles. But out of 31 movies that he did theatrically, the guy was a legend, right? But I think he would have been someone fun to work with, and I would have loved to have collaborated with him because I think something could have amazingly. Like it could have been something. In fact, I think if you were even to take Elvis and switch Dean Martin out with the Matt Helm movies that were done you remember the Matt Helm movies that Dean Martin did? Basically, they're James Bond ripoffs. Okay, you got to get out and you got to see these. I think that Elvis could have pulled off those kind of movies. Yeah, for sure. I think he would have been. Well, I love Dean Martin, so I don't want to make any disrespect, but I really think that if we had seen Elvis do something like the character of Matt Helm, he would have had a whole franchise of spy movies like that.
I think.
By the way, I see somebody.
Problem with him was. Sorry.
Oh, here. I'm just reading this comment. He says, "Jack's daughter here. Where can we see you speaking and singing 'Suspicious Minds' on a cruise again?" Yes, I have sung that.
We're learning some stuff, are we? We're learning some.
I hope.
Thank you.
No phones and videos are allowed in the karaoke lounge. But I don't know when I'm going to speak next on a cruise. The reality is I've been so busy lately doing films, I just have not had the chance. But I'd love to come back and do some more speaking. So I don't know, write your local cruise lines. Tell them to bring me back, and I'll see what I can do. But I had such a fun time on the cruises. I've spoken regularly for Norwegian, Carnival, and Royal Caribbean, and the people that I've met there actually have become like family to me in many cases. So I just had such a fun time. So that was always good.
After you get killed by Mickey, you're going to be on all the horror cruises, I'm sure.
You never know. The Disney cruises. Yeah, maybe, right?
You're going to be banned from those. But...
Probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Douglas, we got to get you out of here. Thank you. You've given us way more than I could have anticipated. You're a blast. We kept on hearing you're amazing to talk to. I'm like, well, I hear that a lot. You are. I love talking to you.
I had fun with you guys. You guys are super fun.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you coming on and giving us your time. Have a great night. We're going to get you out of here. Thank you, everybody. Jack's daughter, especially for asking questions. Thank you for watching. I watched those numbers go up and down. It's been a great show. Everybody, please have a great night. Douglas, thank you again. Everybody, please be safe out there.
Thank you.